Kevin Cramer, came out in yesterday, I believe, in on a program where he said he just didn't sense the urgency of it. There's really, nothing that we need to worry about here. The crops look good in North Dakota. The harvest is coming in well. That is so incredibly short-sighted. That's not why we don't pass a farm bill for this moment, for this crop cycle. We do it for long-term certainty. We do it so that there is something in place to provide some protections, a safety net, so that we've got crop insurance in place. There's whole parts of this country that are being affected tremendously by the drought. This isn't just about North Dakota.
What was his thinking behind it's not a priority, or it's not? He doesn't feel a sense of urgency. What reasoning?
Well, he would have to answer that himself, but my sense is that it's very much tied to his endorsements from the Club to Growth. This is a group that opposes it, has made it a top priority to defeat the Farm Bill. And so they're at no rush to get this done. You know how hard it is to get agriculture groups to agree. I mean, we all know that. It's just never been easy. But when the American Farm Bureau and when National Farmers Union and literally every commodity group and ag association comes out and says, we support an action on the Farm Bill now. We need it now. We need it to get out of the House. Not an extension. Not an extension. We need to get it out of the House and get it conferenced and move a Farm Bill. I mean, that tells you a lot. I think when you get that kind of unity amongst agriculture, it tells you that they don't want to wait, because the uncertainty that comes with waiting, not only from the producer's standpoint, but certainly from the lenders and from Main Street businesses and from all of the industries, manufacturing and implement dealers, they all want to see the same thing. Let's move together with a smart national farm policy to put things in place, and let's do it now. That's the work of Congress. I use this analogy because the combines are rolling through North Dakota right now. Somehow Congress decides on a date they're going to go on holiday, on vacation, and that date moves along and they all just walk out the door. What if you did that in farm country? You just don't do that. You work until you get the job done.
Well, let me give you an example. Okay, it's Friday night. It's Crete, North Dakota. You're on the Harris family farm, which was your maiden name, okay? None of the chores are done, but there's a big street dance right outside of Oaks. Dad and Mom going to let you go?
It's a non-option.
I don't get this.
Yeah,
I don't get why we're about to take a congressional recess when the work isn't done.
Yeah, no, I've always said that. I think, it's one thing to put things on a calendar and plan for it, but if your work is not done, you don't leave D.C., you get it done. It's a farmer wouldn't shut his combine off the end of the field at night and say, well, I'm done. I'll come back in a few weeks and see how this wheat looks. Okay. And hope the heck it's there.
I don't want to read this after you're gone and not give you a chance to speak to it. Email comes in, and this person is writing about as honestly as he can. A different position than mine, but this person says the American public is sick of subsidizing the farmers. It's not about politics. It's about standing on your own 2 feet. Cheap food, my rear end. It's welfare, and it's abused, and we're sick of it. Go Rick and go Kevin. Your thoughts about that?
Well, I obviously have a very different view, and I don't see it as subsidizing farmers that way. I see it as a strong national farm policy that puts in place some safety net, that puts in place a crop insurance that allows farmers to purchase it to protect their crops. I think it lends itself to our national security. I think it's key that we know that we're going to be able to feed the 300 million people that live in America today and the projected 400 million in the next 25 years. I think worldwide we play such an important part of feeding the world. The 7 billion people in the world, projected to be 9 billion. Obviously, production agriculture is a key component to our economy, and yet we're always at the risk of nature. We know that. It's part of the inherent risk of what we do here. So we're just talking about reasonable policy put in place. Remember how this works. When the markets are strong, as they are now, you don't collect subsidies. There's no payments to farmers, on that market price, because that's not necessary. I'm talking about a safety net approach to this.
Okay. The other question I would have for you is in relation to, where we're at as far as energy. Because we're sitting here right now. We just had a conversation earlier about oil excise tax, where this goes, where that goes. Should we be looking at more, since we have become this multifaceted state in terms of energy, being put more on a national scale of how we can address this?
Absolutely. I think it's just critical that we have a national energy policy, much like I'm just talking about with the farm policy, but that we put a national energy policy in place that really moves this country towards energy independence. And I don't just say that, just because it sounds good. I mean, this is the reality. We have such capability in North Dakota, of course, but nationwide, to be able to do a lot more to position ourselves. Obviously, we have the coal, we have the oil. I'd like to see us be able to do more to build some of the refineries to support it, expand our refineries, get those pipelines in place that allow us to move it here in North Dakota, add that value to it, and then export it. I'd like to see us do more with the natural gas to be able to really use all of that and convert it into fertilizers, put it right back on North Dakota fields here. I mean, that's the kind of things that we can be doing, and we should tie that into a national energy policy.
Why, when people think of East Coast or West Coast Democrats, they think environmentalist, flavor of the month type energy policy? They don't think broad-based. You mentioned oil. You mentioned coal. You mentioned gas. Many people are going to look to your side of the aisle with the letter behind your name that you're running with, and they're going to see people on your caucus that don't agree with you on that don't see coal as a friend to this nation when it comes to powering this nation. How do we change Democrats' minds to realizing that the products that we produce and make here in North Dakota, the cheap, affordable electricity that we send down the line, actually powers this nation?
Absolutely. 50% of our power comes from coal energy, and it's an important part of our economy, and it's a very, very important part of our national energy security.
But my point,
policy.
Pam, isn't our problem with our own party if you and I are Democrats on that?
Oh, certainly. The perspective that we're going to be against all of this is just really wrong. And, part of what we've seen over all of our years with Ken Conrad, Byron Dorgan, in their service to this state, Earl Pomeroy, they championed these issues for North Dakota. I remember them leading, obviously, the issues regarding the coal gasification plant and the sequestration issues in Congress, and really making the case on how important this is to our nation and to our economy, and getting resources to support the research and development for those industries. So you should never make assumptions. My record, your record, is very, very strong on energy. And, we should also talk about the renewables. Obviously, how we position ourselves. I think it's critically important that we extend the production tax credit. That is the tax credit that goes to the wind energy developers, gives them some long-term certainty, allows them to do a lot more on the development side. Without that, you're going to see more and more, obviously, pulling back and changes in the wind industry, and that's not good for North Dakota. We have a lot of jobs dependent on the wind industry here in North Dakota, and so we need to extend that production tax credit.
People want to know more about your candidacy. Where do they go?
It's Pam Gulleson, GULLESON.com. That's my website.
Pam, is always good to talk to you. Thanks for popping in.
Thanks so much.
Let's go find Paul Juergens and find out what's going on in our weather out there. Paul?